Did he really love his sister? Because if you really love your sister, you definitely do not rape, strangle her, beat her, and stab her 17 times. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Psych Talk with Anna in the True Crime Psychology series. In today's episode, I will analyze the case of Paris Bennett, the guy that at the age of only 13 raped, murdered his young sister of 4. So let's get into it. Paris Bennett grew up in Texas in a troubled household with drug addiction. His mother, Charity Lee, had a past of substance abuse, and she also came from a troubled family. Paris Bennett was actually described as a very smart boy with a high IQ. In the night of February 4th, 2007, the mother of Paris was actually working, and so she hired a babysitter to watch over Paris Bennett, 13 years of age, and the little 4-year-old sister Ella. So what did Paris do? He persuaded the babysitter to leave. So that's how smart and good at manipulation that boy was. Imagine being 13 years of age and being able to persuade the babysitter to leave even though she was hired by the mother to make sure that everything was going to be fine and to watch over them. He persuaded her to leave, and once she left, he entered Ella's room, sexually assaulted her, beat her, strangled her, and stabbed her 17 times. After the attack, he actually called a friend and then 911. On the 911 call, he actually tried to fake insanity, claiming bizarre things, but he did not perform CPR despite the dispatcher's instruction. And so after an hour, he was arrested. So he was charged with capital murder. Paris pleaded guilty in juvenile court and received the maximum juvenile jail time that he could have received, 40-year sentence with parole eligibility after 20 years. He was later transferred to adult facility after he obviously became an adult. So what is his diagnosis? He was actually diagnosed with psychopathy, or antisocial personality disorder according to clinical psychology. He scored very high in all the psychopathy assessments that he took. He even admits that he had these ideations of killing other people from a very young age. The mother describes him as lacking remorse in a very chilling way. And so again, we can see that from a very young age, he had certain traits of psychopathy and antisocial personality disorder. And again, psychopaths are born psychopaths. You can literally see that their brain structure is very different from a normal, regular person. If you're interested in knowing the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath, I made a video just about that. And now let's actually listen to an interview that he had done when he was younger.
I believe that the most important goal for me is to show people that I may be incarcerated, but that does not necessarily mean that I am a monster or a villain. That the mistake I made 12 years ago at the age of 13 is not something that defines my life.
I've seen video footage. I've seen still photographs of you together. You playing the role of perhaps protective older brother, her as the cheeky, mischievous younger sister. Can you rationalize or explain now how you came to do what you did to your sister?
I don't think I can easily explain everything, because if I could, we wouldn't be talking about it 12 years later. I think that's been one of the biggest challenges for other people through the years, because no one likes to be confused. No one likes to be bewildered. We like easy answers.
Growing up, no one had suspected that Paris was a psychopath, and that the murder he committed when he was only 13 had been meticulously planned for a reason.
4-year-old Ella Bennett was fatally stabbed. Taken into custody was her 13-year-old brother.
Paris Bennett convinced his babysitter to go home early while their mom was gone. He stabbed Ella 17 times.
From what I've read, you were weighing up various options. One was to potentially kill the babysitter. One was to kill your mother, with whom you had lots of anger towards. And the other was to kill your sister. And in the end, you determined that if you killed your sister but didn't kill your mother, that your mother would then live her life with the agony of losing her little girl, and that might be a bigger punishment than killing your mother. Is that a fair characterization of your thinking?
Yes, it is. For many, many years, there was just this hot, flaming ball of wrath in the pit of my stomach, and it was directed at my mother. And one of the reasons why I chose to kill my sister and not someone else is because I knew that by doing so, I could hurt my mother in the worst possible way. Because I had always known as a child that the most devastating thing to my mother would be the loss of one of her children. And I found a way to take away both her children in one fell swoop.
When a psychopath tells you his intention, believe them. He clearly lacks remorse. He doesn't care at all about that little girl, his sister, that he killed. The only thing that he cares about is the pain that he caused to the mother.
The babysitter didn't just leave. He coerced the babysitter to leave because he needed the babysitter gone in order to put his plan into action.
It was Super Bowl Sunday. He knew his mother had to work late. He knew he would be alone with his little sister if he could get rid of the babysitter.
There was always a plan.
Yeah.
Kiss your sister. Ella loves her big brother. Say hello. These are my children.
At the time of the murder, Charity was working in a restaurant while studying for a master's in education. She was a single mother, but her family were well off and her children had a comfortable upbringing.
He was a good big brother. I remember hearing that he'd help her pick out her outfit. She very much would depend on him for fashion. If you were gonna stereotype him, he sort of seemed like a skateboarder kid.
Nobody that I'm aware of said, hey, by the way, I think Paris is a psychopath. His teachers didn't recognize it. You know, teachers spend more time with a child than most parents do.
Once the babysitter had left, there was just you and Ella in the house, and she was asleep at that stage. Is that right? And you take a large knife and you go into her room and you stab her twice at the start of this process.
You can see his blinking rate, how he's doing like this. And he's half closing his eyes, not fully, which can mean heightened emotional arousal and discomfort. Did he really love his sister? Is this what he's saying, trying to manipulate and get empathy from the audience? Because if you really love your sister, you don't do that. You definitely do not rape, strangle her, beat her, and stab her 17 times. I've seen many people obviously getting angry at the babysitter, thinking how can you be coerced or manipulated by a 13-year-old boy. But one thing that I want to remind you is that he would have done it, if not that day, he would have done it anyway. He would have had occasions to actually finish his plan with his sister to get revenge and cause this pain to the mother. So sooner or later, he would have done it anyway. Anyway, this is the end of the episode. If you liked it, put a like, subscribe to my channel. If you're interested in other serial killers and you want to know their diagnosis and their stories, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next episode.